Section 1. The family bond that wasn't so innocent. I always believed my marriage was strong. From the outside, people would say we looked perfect together. We had a comfortable home, a steady routine, and the kind of relationship that didn't attract much drama. But what people didn't see were the silences, the emotional distance, and the way I often felt invisible in my own marriage. My husband was a good man, but he was busy, too busy. Work consumed him, and when he was home, he was either tired or distracted. I craved attention, affection, and connection, but those needs went unnoticed. Then came his stepbrother. He wasn't around all the time, but whenever he visited, the energy shifted. He was younger, more carefree, and had this way of making everyone laugh. He wasn't afraid to tease me, to throw in playful comments, or to notice little things about me that my husband never did. At first, I brushed it off. After all, he was family, at least by marriage. But slowly, I began to feel something I hadn't felt in years. Seen. We would sit at the dinner table, sharing inside jokes no one else caught. Sometimes, while the TV was playing, we'd find ourselves in deep conversations, just the two of us. He asked about my dreams, my favorite music, even the small details of my daily routine. Those tiny questions made me feel special in ways I had forgotten were possible. It wasn't just emotional, though. There were subtle signs, his eyes lingering on me longer than they should, the way he'd brushed past me in the kitchen, almost too close. Each moment felt like crossing a small line, but I told myself it was harmless. I convinced myself I was imagining it, that it was just friendly attention. But late at night, when I replayed those moments in my head, I couldn't deny it anymore. Something was shifting. I started looking forward to his visits, my heart beating faster the second he walked through the door. And even though I hated admitting it to myself, I felt alive again. That was the danger I never saw coming. It wasn't a sudden explosion of passion, it was a slow burn, the kind that sneaks up on you until you realize you're already standing too close to the fire. I knew it was wrong, but deep inside, I couldn't stop myself from wondering, what if this bond wasn't so innocent after all? Section 2. The first mistake. It happened on a night that felt ordinary at first. My husband was out of town for work, something that had become a routine part of our lives. His stepbrother had come over to help fix something around the house, and when it got late, he decided to stay. I didn't think twice about it. After all, he had slept over before. We sat in the living room, talking and laughing. Maybe it was the wine, maybe it was the loneliness, or maybe it was the weeks of unspoken tension finally spilling over. I remember the way he looked at me, long, searching, almost daring me to respond. And I did. One moment we were sitting across from each other, and the next the space between us disappeared. His hand brushed against mine, and I didn't pull away. My heart was racing, my mind screaming at me to stop, but my body betrayed me. He leaned in and I let him. The kiss was quick, almost hesitant at first, but once the line was crossed, there was no turning back. I whispered, "Okay, let's make it fast," as if speeding through it would make it less wrong, less real. But nothing could erase the truth of what we were doing. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't tender. It was raw, reckless, and desperate. In that moment, all the guilt, all the morality, faded into the background. For those few minutes, it was just him and me, caught in a whirlwind of forbidden desire. And then, just as quickly as it started, it was over. The room felt heavy, the silence unbearable. We both sat there, avoiding each other's eyes, the weight of what had just happened pressing down on us. My chest was tight, my stomach in knots. I had betrayed my husband. Worse, I had done it with someone he trusted like family. He finally broke the silence. "This never happened," he said firmly, though his voice trembled. I nodded, unable to speak, tears already forming in my eyes. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every second of what we had done. Part of me felt sick, disgusted with myself. But another part of me couldn't ignore the rush, the spark I hadn't felt in years. I swore to myself it was a one-time mistake, something that would never happen again. I told myself I could bury it, lock it away, and pretend it didn't exist. But deep down, I already knew the truth. Once a line is crossed, it can never be fully erased. And that one night, those few reckless minutes, would change everything. Section 3. The Web of Lies. After that night, I told myself it was over. I promised I would never let it happen again. But promises made in guilt are fragile. The very next time he came over, the silence between us said everything. We didn't talk about what happened, but the looks, the way our bodies leaned too close, it was as if we were both waiting for another chance. And soon we gave in. It didn't happen every day, not even every week. But it happened often enough that I began to live a double life. With my husband, I was the devoted wife, smiling and cooking dinners, asking about his day. With his stepbrother, I was someone else entirely, secretive, reckless, alive. Every stolen kiss, every hurried touch felt like a dangerous drug, and I was addicted. But with each meeting came lies. I lied about where I had been, lied about why I looked distracted, lied about why my phone was suddenly always in my hand. My husband never questioned much. He trusted me completely. That trust cut deeper than any words could, because I knew I was tearing down the very foundation of our marriage. At night, I would lay beside him, listening to his breathing, and feel the crushing weight of betrayal pressing down on me. Guilt ate at me, but so did desire. I was torn between two lives, one stable and familiar, the other secret and intoxicating. What made it worse was that the stepbrother and I never planned anything long-term. We weren't talking about love or building a future together. It was always quick, hidden, whispered, "Let's make it fast" moments. That phrase became the silent agreement between us, a way of saying we knew it was wrong but couldn't stop. I became paranoid. Every time my husband picked up my phone, I felt my heart stop. Every time his stepbrother walked into the house, I feared someone would notice the way our eyes met. I started rehearsing lies in my head, preparing answers to questions he never even asked. I was living in a web of deception, and I was the one who had spun it. But the truth about lies is simple. No matter how carefully you weave them, eventually they break. And deep down, I knew it was only a matter of time before everything came crashing down. Section 4. Truth, Regret, and Consequences. The truth didn't come out in some dramatic explosion. It was smaller, quieter, but no less devastating. One night, my husband picked up my phone while I was in the shower. A message, short, careless, a simple "when can we do it again?" was enough to unravel everything. When I came out, he was sitting on the edge of the bed, phone in his hand, his face pale. The look in his eyes is something I will never forget. Confusion, anger, heartbreak all tangled into one. He didn't yell. He didn't even ask many questions. He just said, "Why him? Why my brother?" The silence after those words was worse than any scream could have been. I tried to explain, but how do you explain something you can barely understand yourself? I told him I felt lonely, invisible, starved for attention. But the excuses sounded hollow, even to me. The truth was, I had destroyed his trust, not because I didn't love him, but because I was weak. The stepbrother didn't stay around to face the fallout. He cut off contact, leaving me alone in the wreckage. And maybe that was for the best, because his presence only deepened the wound. In the weeks that followed, the house felt like a graveyard of broken promises. My husband barely spoke to me. The air between us was heavy, suffocating. Every corner of the house reminded me of what I had done. I realized then that betrayal doesn't just shatter the one who is betrayed, it shatters the betrayer too. I had thought those moments of passion gave me life, but in the end, they stole everything from me. My peace, my dignity, my marriage. The words, "Okay, let's make it fast," echo in my mind even now. At the time, they felt like a way to make the guilt smaller, to treat it like something fleeting. But in reality, it became the symbol of how quickly one decision, one weakness, can ruin years of love and trust. I don't know if my marriage will survive. Maybe time can heal it, or maybe it's too broken to fix. What I do know is that I carry the weight of regret every single day. Infidelity isn't just a betrayal of your partner, it's a betrayal of yourself. You lose pieces of who you are until you barely recognize the person in the mirror. And that's the cruelest consequence.